What's up, everyone? I'm your host, Lucie, and this is Eventually It All Connects. With a friend of mine from church. And yeah, his name's Kevin. If you didn't know, now you know.
Hello.
Yeah, so we met this year at church. It's a short story. Anyways, doesn't really matter. So what I normally do is I ask everyone the same question.
Okay.
And what the question is there a time in your life where you didn't know it then, but are now realizing that eventually it all connects to today?
Aha. I didn't know.
It's back then, but you're now realizing eventually it all connected to today. So like whether it be like your personality, your behavior, what's your job, like literally anything in your life that you're like, oh my gosh, if that didn't happen back then, I would not be here today.
Yeah, I think I can say in a lot of things actually. I feel like for like I say especially with the relationships I have, especially when it comes to friends and all that. Yeah, I feel like personally there was I'd say some building, some growth I had to go through, some things I had to work on, and in order for me to be able to maintain and have the relationships with the people that I have right now, friends, coworkers. I feel like at some point I would have felt like going through this, certain experiences was meaningless. But like right now I feel like, so this makes sense,
Is it like a specific time, or do you just like there's a story of like, oh my gosh, if I wasn't in this place at this time, I would not meet this person?
Yeah, I can say that, of course. Say like when it comes to, well, say relationships, right? For, say with my friends, I feel like there was a certain time where it's very hard for me to be able to maintain them. Very, very hard. It's just I'm like, I'm on my own. I do this on my own. But over time, it was like going through that. It was like it felt so lonely at some point. You just get aware, like. So yeah, coming to that, then meeting the friends that I have right now, and having to adapt. I guess like to a certain, I have to change it. Like the people, right now, I have to, look out for the people, their friends, Yeah, so I feel like that's one. Of course there are more, but yeah.
There's more, yeah. That's nice. But yeah, so today's topic is pressure. I feel like everyone has been pressurized at some point in their life, whether it be with job, school, work, whatever. It's happened. So I feel like this was even a topic that is it resonates with people.
Yes, definitely.
A lot. And people that are also struggling with that aspect of like, oh my gosh, what do I do in pressurizing situations? What do I do in whatever? So it's like, it's good to sort of talk about it and to sort of be like, if there's anyone out there that needs help, or they're like, I need advice, then you share your knowledge on what you can tell them and about it. So yeah, so the first question that I have is, do you think pressure makes you better or bitter?
Aha. Does pressure make you better or bitter? From my own personal experiences, it makes you better.
It makes you better.
Yes.
Okay.
It does make you better.
Okay.
Pressure has made me better in a lot of ways. At some point, of course, I could have been bitter. You could choose to be bitter.
Bitter, yeah.
You could choose to be bitter. But at some point, you're like, when you see the point of going through all that pressure, the said pressure, and get a better perspective, you'll be like, okay, it made me better. I have to choose to be better. I think it's a matter of choice, though.
So it's like it's more of like your reaction to it.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah. Like, what do you think?
I mean, I don't know, cause like, I think a part of me, again, I think it's just different experiences, but I think a part of me is just like, I don't see a way that pressure can make you better. It makes you more bitter.
Okay.
Just different perspectives. If you guys didn't see that episode, it's out. Because for me, I'm like, at least I'm the type of person that hates being pressurized. Because I'm like, I don't know, it's just for me, I'm just like, stress basically gives me stress. I'm like, okay, you're pressuring me to that. I'm like, okay. Don't want stress at all. So, like, for instance, let's say, let's give an example of, actually, this is more my personal experience.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But, for instance, with the university, there's a whole big pressure of, like, okay, took a high school, you have to go straight to university, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just, like, you know, the whole, how people, like, put, like, it's high school, college, work, or high school, college, master's, PhD, like, whatever you choose.
Exactly.
So me, I'm just like, okay, so I was in high school, and I had that whole pressure of, I need to go to college. And in that sense, I didn't really, I think I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know, because a part of me also was pressurized to be like, I have to find something that people consider getting a job money-wise in the future. So it's like, okay, let's say, like, I am a creative. So, like, if I say, oh, I want to do photography or whatever, people will be like,
Okay.
that industry doesn't make a lot
yeah.
of money. So you should probably be on the safe side and do business or be a lawyer or a doctor or whatever. And so there was also pressure in there, because I'm like, I enjoy, like, creative stuff. I enjoy all of that. But it's just like the voices of the people saying, like, don't do that, like, don't do that. And so there's that. And then there's also your friends, like, my friends around me were all, like, applying for colleges. They're all, like, they know what degrees they want to get and the majors or whatever. I'm just like, I have not even applied for one. I don't even know what I want to do, let alone apply for a college.
Okay.
And so I had so much pressure in that time. And then got out of high school, decided to take a gap year. And even, like, telling people I wanted to take a gap year, they're like, why are you taking a gap year? Like, there's no point, you're wasting time, blah, 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 all that jazz. And so, again, the pressure was there. It was like, okay, great. Now I want to take a gap year and think it's good for me, but now I'm pressured to not to take it. And then after that, the gap year, because during the gap year, I was sort of working. I was actually supposed to do something else, but circumstances and people, I couldn't really do that. And so I came back home and I just worked. And even, like, experiencing that work, I was like, okay, I'm working, I know what I want to do, like I have, like, a whole idea of what I want to do with my life. I found things that I love. Long story short with that, I've literally not been to university yet. Like, I don't have a degree and whatsoever. And I feel like I'm doing fine, because I'm working, I'm getting money, I have my own company, and I'm just like, and then I'm doing something that doesn't really require a degree. Like, it's more requires experience than a degree. And so I'm just like, oh, like, that whole pressure of going to university, like, not saying it's pointless. Again, if you have to go to university, please go. Because you doctors and lawyers, we need you to go to university. Mm-hmm. We do not want a doctor that has no degree
Exactly.
and is out here cutting me and is a life or death situation. Like, I don't have a degree.
Doing,
yeah, so there's situations like that where you do need a degree, but, like, for things like creative, like the creative industry, for me, since I'm doing digital marketing, I'm like, I could go, and there's, like, literally courses and, like, degrees that's digital marketing. But I don't have to have it. So I'm like, I don't want that pressure of going to university. And then one other thing that people were, like, I remember I was telling this one person in high school, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm taking a gap year, like a mom or whatever, like one of my friend's moms. And I was telling her, I was like, oh yeah, I'm taking a gap year. She's like, no, don't take a gap year. If you take a gap year, you want to go back to university or you already, like, experienced that. And I'm like, no, I'll be fine. I'm like, if I don't, like, it's one of the things I'm like, if I don't, I don't. If I do, I do. Like, I'm not out here, like, trying to, again, pressure myself. It's like, oh, you have to go to university. I'm like, I don't have to. I mean, I'm not saying, like, I'll never go. Like, I could literally be, like, 35 or whatever and be like, wait, I want to get a degree in this. And now that we have online universities that have degrees, I can literally just do online and then get the degree. Like, I I'm in no rush
Exactly.
in the sense to get a degree. But with all that being said, like with the whole pressure thing, and in my sort of experience, it made me more. No, okay, now not really bitter. Like I'm better now.
Exactly.
But I like with all of that pressure that time, it made me bitter because I'm like, people just don't understand. They don't get it. They're not like, it's like, you're not me. How do you know what is good for me? How do you know? Like, it's just kind of made me not like the person in a sense anymore. So that's why I would think that it makes you bitter than better. And I mean, in some instances, I don't know, because what do you think about like the whole like, if someone's like, let's say, lazy, pressurizing them actually does make them better because it gets them out of that laziness.
Exactly.
So I mean, it could work, I guess, both ways.
But you said it yourself. Eventually, you know, at this point, you're better. You used to be better. I think, like, okay, it makes
It's
you
more than a careless.
Yes, like
What they're
I think
saying.
it makes you better when you're in that moment. You know, when you're in that moment, like, and you're getting all that pressure, that makes you better. But like, once you're out of it, once you're not able to give in to that pressure, that's when it actually, you look back and think about it, and it's like, you know what, like, it actually made me better. You know, it actually help me, know how to stand my ground. Because I think you would have been better if you actually gave in to the pressure and like not decided to like take your gap year and be like, okay, fine, I'll do what they have to
Oh
do.
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like in that sense, the pressure would make you, way more bitter.
Because you're doing
Remember-
what other people want you to do instead of doing what you want to do.
Exactly. So there's a meaning they say, it's saying like, pressure makes diamonds. So you get it.
I know I get it, but I'm just like, does it really though?
It does. It does. It hurts when you're in the process. I can really relate to you. Me personally, when you're like, I felt after I finished my Form 4, I decided not to go to A level. Yes, which really pissed a lot of people, especially my parents.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
it was a really, really big deal. So there was a lot of pressure on me, like, Kevin,
What
why
are you
aren't going
doing?
to A level? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, like, and I'm like, I looked at the situation. I was like, okay, what are the pros and cons? What do I want to study? I love computers. I want to study computers more. Do I get that if I go to A level right now? Not really. How can I get it? You can go opt for diploma, then head for degree. I was like, okay, so there is a possibility. What are the problems, the issues? Maybe what my face is just like, it'll take a year more, When you go to A level, it's just 2 years, you opt for your bachelor's. When you opt for diploma, that's 3 years, 2 years diploma and a year certificate or 3 years of diploma. No. But I was like, if the issue is time, it's not a problem. But like, trying to make my parents understand.
Your parents are always the hard ones.
Yeah, so it
this
was
is-
hectic.
This is I don't know if it's a side story or whatever, but I love my parents, you guys. Before I say this, I love them very much. And I respect them and I honor them. Just before anyone says anything.
I'm waiting for it because you're like, I'm waiting for what's coming.
But no, so I knew out of all people, I'm like, I know my parents were gonna say something about me taking and choosing. Like, I actually told them, I'm like, I'm not going to university. And obviously, it's one of those things I'm like, I know they'll say something, but actually, I think it's more my parents know me, and also like I know them in a sense. They're very supportive people, like they're supportive, whatever. But when I told them that, I could sense the fact that like, okay, but they're like, nah, because there was a time where, like, my mom was like even trying to help me, like, okay, what schools, blah blah blah, trying to say, like, hey, if you're looking, you need, like, she was again pressurizing me to like look for a school. And so, but that was during the time where I'm like, I don't know if I don't know if I want to go. Like, I was still trying to figure it out. And so when I figured it out, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stand my grounds. I'm not going to university. Luckily, Wamaka came here. If they had said something, I'd be like, you guys, I don't care. Like, literally, that's what I'm saying. I think it got to a point, because my parents know, again, before anyone says anything, my parents know that I'm stubborn. Mimi nikisema I'm doing something, I'm doing it. If I don't do it, I'm not doing it. You literally, like when Nikishan and Lee put my mind to that, I'm not, you can't change it. So even me saying that, they're like, okay, that's fine. Like, they're just like, we're not going to be able to change this person's mind. But the good thing I think with me that kind of helped them a bit is that I had a plan instead of going to university. Facts. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to university, but I'm doing X, Y, and Z right now. So I keep it now, like, telling them that, like, I'm trying to build a company, I'm trying to get clients, whatever. At least it gives them a sort of peace of mind, like, okay, she's not just sitting around doing nothing. So if you are, like, not going to go to university or take a gap year, make sure you're doing something. Don't just, like...
have a plan.
Mimi, I don't... Like, the one thing I don't condone is just saying I'm not going to university and then just sitting around. That's, I will say, don't know. Like, I will say go to university. If you don't want to go and you're just going to sit around, go to university. Exactly. So at least you have something to do. But anyways, that was just a little side note. I'm just like, yeah, I'm the type of person, like, I'm stubborn. If you tell me, I'm like, you can say whatever. I will still do what I want to do.
Exactly. Stand on business.
Exactly. What's that? Justin Bieber video. It's like what is it? We don't stand on business. We stand on business.
It's not talking to you that I'm standing on business. It's not talking to you.
I should tell my parents.
Yeah, I should have told your parents.
It's not talking to you. Standing on business.
It's not clocking to you.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so it's just so I mean, so you're saying it basically works both ways. Like it makes you better and also makes you bitter.
Yeah, it'll make you bitter when you're in it, but after.
Eventually it all connects.
Exactly. Eventually it all connects. Yeah.
And it'll make you better.
Exactly. It'll make you better.
But yeah, the second question I sort of have, which I guess relates to the first one, is do you feel pressure to meet others' expectations?
At some point, yes. I think we all do. I think we all do, but like having a perspective and understanding of exactly that concept, like having the pressure, to like perform, like the pressure to perform as others, putting that on, like it's something that I've had that for a really long time. I've always felt like, man, I need to do this, so they can see me, they can see this, there's a lot of pressure, But at the end of the day, when you like sit down, it's noise. I think it's like noise. Getting all that pressure, and not knowing exactly why you're doing something and doing it, in order to feel like I'm performing for others to see, They should see, they should see, look at my podcast, I'm like, I'm doing something, guys. Do you see my podcast? I'm doing something.
Yeah.
It makes you lose a sense of the essence of why you started, in the first place. And you just end up getting lost, in the noise. I think it's very important to just understand, like, you know what? I've started this project of mine, and all I'm going to do is just keep my head down and work. So there's this book I really love. It's called Ego is the Enemy.
Okay.
It's a really great book. I highly recommend everyone to read that book. So in the book, it's like it's divided into three sections. So there's aspire, failure, and success. So it starts off with aspire. It shows you how your ego is the enemy when you're aspiring to do something. Then the next chapter, it's how your ego is your enemy when you're successful. You aspire to be something, you're successful, and the end, it's like how your ego is your enemy after you've failed, So when you start off there, you're like, okay, I want to do this. I have this podcast of mine, so I'm planning itakuwa heavy, and I'll do this and I'll do that, Then people will see and all that. So in some sense, giving into it's like ego in some sense, doing it to perform for others. You're looking for that recognition, for the awards, like, hey, I'm doing something. John is doing something great, So it makes you lose focus. Of course, I've been a victim, but it's something I'm actively working on.
Yeah. But so just meeting other people's expectations is kind of hard because then it sort of makes you stressed, because I've said in the beginning, it just makes you stressed to be like, oh my gosh, I have to get on my A game, I have to make sure that I am basically pleasing people, which comes even in hand with the whole people pleasing, because
Exactly.
you want to meet other people's expectations, which I'm a huge
Facts.
victim of people pleasing. It was worse when I was growing up, but at least now I'm trying to fix it and get better. But yeah, so like even looking at that, like the question, like, do you feel pressure to meet other people's expectations? Honestly, if you say you haven't, you're probably kidding yourself, because
Lying.
I feel like everyone has. It
Exactly.
even comes to a point if we get like all spiritual here, but like to a point like sometimes we feel a pressure to even meet God's like his expectation, which the only difference between him and humans is that he has a lot of grace and mercy and forgiveness. So it's like if we mess up, we know that he will
Yeah.
still forgive us and he will give us grace and he still loves us either way.
Exactly.
Like the love never goes away. It's unlike people who you feel like, oh my gosh, I haven't met their expectation. You're like, oh my gosh, this person doesn't love me anymore. Or like the person could be so angry and be like, why are you like this? So it's like, it's just like the pressure for that just brings a lot of other negative stuff mentally. Like it also affects your mental health as well.
Very
Um,
much.
but yeah, so speaking of other people and society and the world, how does social media increase or shape the pressure you feel?
Wow.
The lovely social media, the internet, the society that tells you who you should and shouldn't be.
Okay. I feel like in a in a lot of ways it can highly make you feel like, man. I don't know how to put this, but like, okay, let's say, for example, from my perspective, right?
Mm.
Uh, Watching, doing business and all this,
Mm.
it's very easy for me to go online, see, other, entrepreneurs, they're doing so well with their businesses, like
Mm.
posting this, and you're like, oh my
They're like
God,
succeeding, and you're like, why? What am I
what
doing?
am
And
I
falling behind
doing?
and whatnot. Yeah.
What am I doing, man? Like, what is this?
Mm.
Like, I haven't done this and this,
Mm.
and like you just completely forget about your personal, progress and growth so
Mm.
far with what you have been doing,
Mm.
For example, personally for me, there were like the people, I really look up to,
Mm.
I really look up to people like mentors,
Mm.
and when I see them, and they congratulate me, like, hey Kev, you did good, it
Mm.
makes me so happy, you
Mm.
know when I see them, they liked one of my posts, and I'm like,
Like, oh my
yeah, like he
gosh.
noticed, he saw, and I'm like, yeah, I gotta
Mm.
do it, so at some point I was like doing things, so I make sure, at least one of them sees, I hope one of them sees, like,
Yeah.
they gotta do it,
Yeah.
let me just post it. And
Mm.
like they don't, and sometimes they don't, and you're like, oh man,
Where did I go
what did
wrong?
I go wrong,
Yeah.
why didn't they check it out,
Mm.
so like it feels like then at some point, learning and understanding myself, and I was like, like, why am I doing this, for them,
Mm.
see, like there's all this pressure, to amount to something, to get to this specific place,
Mm.
because of course social media, it can be a great tool in
Mm.
some ways, but it
Mm.
can also be the opposite, of
Mm.
helpful in a lot of ways. So it depends really on how your level of awareness when it comes to using
Mm.
it,
Mm.
and depending on the platforms you use, so they say, like, the best way, to make the most out of it is consume less and less and just create more and more.
Yeah.
Yeah, like become less of a consumer and more of a creator in whatever, field or industry you're in,
Mm.
you're here, you have your podcast, all you have to do is create. Get on your podcast, get
Mm.
your questions, your guests and everything.
Mm.
Make sure it goes great. You've created, you've posted, you're done. You're
Mm.
on to the next thing. You're creating.
Mm.
Once you get in the loop of where you're like, start consuming, you'll be on the consuming side, then it's like things start spiraling down. Like, there's this podcast, there's the Diary of a CEO. Have you seen that podcast? Like, there's a lot, a lot of engagement.
Yeah.
The podcast is so cool,
Yeah.
the equipment and all this, But then you forget, like, they're doing it for different reasons.
Oh yeah.
Different audiences,
Oh, yeah.
and a lot of things. So I feel like it can be a tool depending on how you take it.
On how, yeah. I think it's just one of those things where, I mean, this has to do with social media, but like it's also like the people around you in a sense with the whole pressure thing. Like, for instance, I have seen other podcasts and I've seen other, like, heard it and seen how they do stuff. And again, I want to be able to get to the level that they're on. It's not really, level is such a weird word to use. But like, to like, oh my gosh, I want those equipment. I want a studio. I want, all of this stuff. And it's just one of those things. I think that's also what stopped me from starting it earlier than I should have or would have. Is I'm just like, I don't have the equipment. So I don't have this. Like, let me just wait till I get X, Y, and Z. But it's like, again, that's why I tell people, this is literally the Holy Spirit. I literally have borrowed mics. I'm exposing myself. I have borrowed mics. I'm outside my house. This is a whole backdrop. And yet I'm still doing this because the Holy Spirit is like, it doesn't matter what you have.
Exactly.
All that matters is that you're putting God's name out there and the message that's going out there and who it's going to help and what time, whatever. So I think at that point I'm just like, okay, like it's one of those things like, who am I going to listen to? Am I going to listen to the pressure and the voices of the world, or am I going to listen to God and what he wants me to do? So obviously I've gotten shifted to the point where I'm like, honestly, I don't care what anyone else says. If God wants me to do it, I will do it. How I'll get to the other stuff, I know for a fact that if I'm obedient to this first, he will provide the other stuff.
Exactly.
And so it's more of like, I'm just gonna do it. But I was saying the pressure part was just because people are like, oh, Joanne, why? Because if you look at my first 2-3 episodes, I'm literally using the sound on my phone. Like, that's the sound. And I think I did have the stand that I have. But anyways, like, I didn't have proper stuff. The only prop thing I had was the camera. And even that itself is not mine. But anyways, so it's more of like, okay, let me start with what I have and continue until I can get what I want to get. And then this one of my friends like came up to me and just like, oh, like, you need X, Y, and Z, like, let's go, whatever. But I was like that's for me. I'm like, these material stuff don't matter as long as the sound works. Literally it's just the sound, because even if you look some of my episodes, there's no video because of the camera was just acting up. But it's just like the pressure of people, like, it has to be perfect. You have to have everything in order to actually do this. Do not see how other people are out here looking all professional and doing all this stuff, and you're just doing this or whatever. So it's sort of made me, the good thing, again, thank God that I was listening more to him than the people. Not saying that those people were, like, what they're doing was bad, because they were trying to help me and trying to make sure that I'm taking the best quality. But I'm like, I get that and I want to, but I'm like, for me, that's not the point. So like you said, it just depends on the audience and what the point of doing it is and whatnot. So, I mean, looking at social media, and there are pressures on the internet, because you come to see, like, let's say, like you said, with businesses, like, okay, I have a bakery and I want to get out cakes and whatever and pastries. And then I'm just starting. And I'm only saying this because I'm also like this because, again, I started a business. So it's like the beginning parts are very slow, or it seems very slow.
Yeah, right.
And so when you look online and look at how other businesses are doing it, like, yes, it's good to feel like inspired and be like, okay, I'm going to try to do that and see if it works. But there's a part of you that's so precious because you're just like, why are they doing well? How comes I'm not getting to a place where they're getting to? How comes... why, like, what am I doing wrong, in a sense? So you feel so much pressure that, like, I need to get this right. And it gets to a point where that pressure builds up and gets bad to a point that you quit. And you're just like, you know what? I'm done. Because then you give up and you start telling yourself, like, I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. Is this really what I want to do? Blah, blah, blah. And so that kind of ruins it and you end up quitting. Again, from experience, because I've done other stuff and I've quit. And it was not fun. But anyways, so that's that's why like even like pressure itself is sort of not. It kind of sucks in that way because then if it gets to you so much,
Exactly. If it gets to you,
it's bad.
if you let it get to you.
Okay, it's okay. If you let it get to you, because
Yeah.
only you can let it get to you.
Yeah.
But even with like, just even on social media, and so it basically does. I feel like it can do both. It can increase, the pressure you feel, but it can also kind of shape. Actually, no. Do you think it can increase or shape though? Because like, we're also not answering the question. But anyways,
I can say
the pressure you feel. So will it increase it?
the social media.
Yeah.
I think it'll increase it. Increase it. Definitely. Yeah, you'll feel it. I mean, you'll feel it.
You feel the increase of pressure.
Yeah, like it gets more and more every day. The more you go, you see better. People doing great. But like at some point, when you're in there, and sometimes you relate. It's not always that good, even for them. Like you choose what to post. Like you choose what to post. Okay, you're not going to show us your dark days. You're in your room.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Yeah, you're not going to show that, right? You're going to show the highlights. But in some point also talking to people who I look up to, or like, yeah, I've seen them, and them telling you, I also have my dark days. I also have problems. I have issues, and you look at them and like, really. Like, really? What I see? Like, you go through these things too. Like, yeah. So it just gives you a perspective. Like, okay. It's not always, sunshine, rainbows.
Yeah.
It's not always like that. So having that perspective too, like, okay. Myself, I might post something, some of like a really big achievement, like, yo, this, we have this, at the office, we do this. And I'm going through the hardest, stuff, like I'm just going through it. But someone you look at my post and be like, damn,
he's got his life together.
He's got it figured out.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like everyone is clapping for you, like, hey, Kev, you're doing so
It's like,
well,
little
man.
do they know.
Yeah, like you have no idea. You have no
behind
idea.
the scenes.
Yeah, like you have no idea. So yeah, like
That's
this
true.
perspective.
Yeah, it depends how you see it yourself and how you also react to it. So you could let it increase it, or you could let it shape you. It's just how you see it. You get it, guys? It's just how you see it. That's how it is. But yeah, so actually I don't know, I was trying to figure out which question to ask. But okay, let's ask this first and then I might ask the other one. Have you ever succeeded at something but felt no joy because of how much pressure it took to get there?
Yes, 100%.
How did you feel in that moment, basically?
So, after going to university, right? I've gone to university. I've had to go through this, moments of struggle, with my dad. Like, Dad, I can't go to A level. I have to go to uni. Like, unless you're going to carry me there unconscious and just I find myself at school, I don't think there's any other way where I'm going there. And like, I was just like, okay. So he kept on, like, Kev, think about it. There's this and this and this. There was like so much pressure. But at the end of the day, I was like, Dad, like, I'm not going. I'm not. So like, it's a side of me I had never seen because I've never been in such a situation.
Okay.
And something that helped me, gain more clarity is because I know exactly that it's not bad for me to not go to A level. There are options, and I can do this, and it works great. So I go there, first year of university, and in the first year they don't all give you, like what's this, computer related modules, to study. You have other modules in there. So something I really didn't like, because I'm studying computer engineering. My course is computer engineering, right? Now tell me, I have 9 modules to study, and only 2 of them are computer related.
I would have been like...
So I was so confused. I was like, okay, this doesn't make sense. So go there. So I'm like exploring, because at that time I'm fired up, man. I'm like, you know, I have a point to prove. I have a point to prove. I had a point to prove to my dad, you know, my mom, you know, everyone was telling me like, university is a bad idea, you know, like I have a point to prove. So I'm like, I'm going to study, I'm going to show you, I'm going to get all A's, you know, in my studies. So then I go there, it's just too computer related, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And we have physics related modules, you know,
stuff that won't help you.
Exactly. And I'm like, so at the end of the day, you know, finishing that first year, I did well in my computer related studies, but didn't do so well in the other ones.
Yeah.
So I ended up, you know, I finished the year, I have 4 supplementaries, you know, and I'm like, how am I going to explain to my dad, like, you really said you wanted to go to university, and I told you it's hard, and now you've gone there, and you end the year with 4 supplementary exams. And I'm like, how am I going to explain that to him? But like in my mind, I'm like, they're not computer. Like it's not exactly. Yeah, exactly. You know, I'm like, so it's like, you know, I just came clean. My dad, Dad, you know, I don't think this university is going to work for me. I'm going to have to move. So I moved to another university. At that university, they had more computer related, you know, studies. So it was so easy for me. So I went there, studied so hard the first semester, ended up with straight A's in the first semester. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to get a 5.0 GPA. I'm going straight A's, you know, my whole year. Then I was like so committed, you know, like I have to prove a point to my dad. Went to the second semester, studied so hard, studying every single day, weekends, weekdays, every single day. Go through there, finished the year, straight A's, 5.0. And I was like so excited. I was like, yes, you know, yes. Finally, I've proven my point. So I go to my dad. I'm like, Dad, you know what? I got straight A's. I have 5.0 GPA. And then my dad just like, well, at least my fees isn't just going anywhere, you know, like, good job. That was it. I was like,
that's it.
Do you have any idea of what I went through? How many hours? And you're like,
just to make you happy.
Like, and your concern was like, well, the fees, you know, at least the
at
fees.
At least
something.
you were using the fees properly.
The fees properly, you know, that's good. I'm like, I wanted to tell my dad, Dad, sit down. Do you have any idea how hard it is to get a 5.0 GPA? Straight A's. Do you have any idea, Dad? You don't, do you? You don't. And I was like, at that moment, I was like, I did all this. Did so much, you know. And at this point, I'm like, it doesn't even matter, you know. I don't feel like it matters, you know. Like, it was just like, okay. And me, I was just there like, so what was the point of me studying so hard, getting straight A's?
Out here, and he was out here pressuring you to like, do like.
Yeah, I was like, so hard, you know, trying to prove a point, you know, because of all the pressure I had. So that's a scenario I can relate to. So I'm like, the end of the day, it's just like, you know what, Kevin, good job. And he never like, you know, Kevin, good job, you know, that was really great, you know, like, yeah, seems like this university was like nothing like that. It was just like, like. So at that point, I learned a lesson. I was like, you know, doing something, you know, because of, you know, from a place of pressure, it leaves you so void. You know, I felt so empty. You know, I was like,
you felt no joy.
Just at like, all. You know, it's like,
you're like, that's it. I remember you speaking of like the whole subjects thing. I'm like, I think that's one of the reasons why I did not go to university, because I'm just like, okay, I want to, like, let's say for instance, I want to just focus on digital marketing, like literally just digital marketing, like social media, email, whatever, like just that. If I go and get a degree, I have to do other subjects as well, because those are required in order to graduate. And so I'm just like, I'm going there studying other stuff that are probably pointless. Like for instance, I mean, no, I don't think you need math in digital marketing, because I've not used math even once.
Not really, you don't need math.
So like, even with that, I'm like, I'm going to study math and learn all these numbers and whatever. And then I'm not using it. So I'm just like, no. That's why for me, I'm like, if I'm not getting a degree, but what I do or what I've done the past few years is I take courses. Okay. So I do online courses, and it's like one of like just digital marketing, where it's just focusing on digital marketing. And I'm like, okay, this makes more sense because I'm doing something that I actually want to do. But yeah, so to answer that question, like I don't think I have had that, thank God. I've not had that.
Okay.
So the sort of last question I have to ask is, what advice would you give someone who's in the midst of, they're pressurized to do something, like just anything in their life, like what would you advise them to get through that?
What would I advise them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. From my personal experience, I'd really tell them to know exactly what they stand for.
Look at the people. The people are there.
Aha.
Look at the people. Tell the people. You're not telling me. You're telling the people. I mean, you're also telling me, but tell the people.
People.
If you're listening, he's looking at the camera. Go watch the YouTube video. Anyways.
So, I'd definitely love for you to understand exactly what you stand for. You know, it can be so easy to give in to the pressure if you don't know exactly what, you know, you're doing it for. Whether it's, you know, going for a new career, a relationship, getting pressure to get married, you know, get kids. There's so many ways where it's easy for you to give into pressure if you don't know exactly what you're doing it for. So you have to understand your why, know your why, you know. So know exactly, like, I'm doing it this because I'm delaying this because of this, delaying X because of Z. So I think that's something that's really, really important from my personal experience, you know, being through a lot of pressure, you know, still going through a lot of pressure, but knowing exactly your why, know exactly what you're doing it for is something that can really help you go a long way.
You guys got it? You got it?
I hope
Put that in there. I hope you guys listening are just grasping that advice.
Exactly.
But yeah, so what I normally do is I end episodes on Bible verses because, again, eventually it all connects back to Christ. It all connects back to Christ. Anything we do in life, it connects back to him because he's the creator of the world and he created us to be a certain way. So yeah, so the first verse I have is 2 Corinthians 4 verse 8 through 9. And it says, we are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed. And I feel like I've seen like this verse around, but I think this one was good because, first of all, this is a song. I literally, the first thing I thought of was a song. We are blessed beyond the curse, or his promise will endure. It's a song. With this verse, it is.
Wow.
Anyways, but yeah, so the first like line, it says, we are hard pressed on every side but not crushed. So it's literally, again, the pressure, like we are literally pressured on every side, but we will not be crushed because, again, we serve God and we should more focus on that than focus on the words of the people.
That will be your why, you know.
Pretty much, yeah. Exactly. And then the second one is James 1 verse 2 to 4. And it says, dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. And again, with the whole pressure thing, it's just, it's basically the troubles because pressure is a troublesome sort of thing. And so it's just basically saying, like, consider that a positive thing and not a negative thing. But that's how I take it. But yeah, and then the last one is John 14 verse 27, and it says, peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid. I
love that.
Which, yeah, it helps because, again, pressure like stresses you out. So it's like, just think of the peace that God gives you, and don't let your hearts be troubled by like having the stress of like, oh my gosh, like I'm pressured to do this. I have expectations for people. Like, just live with the fact that, hey, God knows who I am. I need to focus on him and focus on the like his word, and then everything else will come to me. Even like knowing what you're supposed to do and knowing what you want to do and all the desires, it will come to you if you just focus on him. But yeah, so that's that. Thanks so much for coming.
I appreciate being here.
Thank you.
Really engaging. It was really nice.
I hope you guys learned a lot from him. I hope you took things from him, and I hope that you applied to your life. I hope this episode has helped you. Whoever needs it, I hope it's helped you. But yeah, so this is the end of the episode. Yeah, thanks so much for coming. Appreciate it.
Pleasure being here.
A lot.
Pressure.
No pressure at all.
Pressure what? Pressure for ties.
You guys,
pressure?
don't know. We're not explaining this.
Pressure's for ties.
This is where, no. This is where we cut the video because what he's about to say is not going to, no.
They'll know it.
Okay, you guys, wait, say it. We'll see. If you guys comment down below if you actually know it, please, like,
They'll
comment
know
down below.
it.
Say it,
Pressure.
say it.
What pressure? Pressure is for ties.
Say it louder.
Pressure. What pressure? Pressure is for ties. They know it. They know it. I know.
Comment down below if you know, please.
They
Like,
know
I'm
it.
begging you
Everyone
because
knows it. Everyone knows it. Trust
prove
me.
his point. If you don't know it, please say you don't know it.
They know it.
But anyways, if you're listening, thank you guys so much for listening. If you're watching, thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.